I think that I'm ready to hold off at this point until we can really have more collaboration with this issue to make sure that everything that we need to do, that we be consistent and do it across the board with the advertising authority dollars, everyone that handles those dollars. So I just want to make sure that it stays uppermost in our mind that we need to have a workshop and outline this because we're talking about changes and things that we do not have in place when we have our present board members that have been appointed and have agreed to serve. So I think a workshop, so let's just proceed in that direction, Mr. Lee. And then I have one other comment, Mr. Chairman. The workers' compensation, who has the workers' compensation for that authority? Does the executive director have their own workers' comp?
They have a leasing agency that handles that they are actually employees of, and so the workers' comp claims go to that leasing agency.
Okay. So they have no involvement with comp claims?
Well, as far as determining whether it's going to be paid or how it's going to be paid, that's done by the leasing agency itself, not by the CPA.
So they file, where do they file the claims, through this agency?
Yes, through the agency.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Cusack. Mr. Worthy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask. Thank you, first of all, for a thorough report. I did have an opportunity to review part of it online yesterday and then to follow up today. Would you consider this a forensic audit, what you did? Or is this just, but it's more than, you haven't run into these issues previously with our ad authorities, have you? Or have you not dealt as deep with them previously?
Well, you asked me a bunch of questions there. I took about trying to get the answer, and then there were like 3 more.
Sorry.
Okay. I don't know that I can appropriately give you the definition of a forensic audit, because a forensic audit is generally you're gone in for one sole purpose, and usually once it has already been determined that fraud has occurred. As an example, very often it will be law enforcement that will call in a CPA from its auditors to go in and look at specific things at their direction. It's already been determined that fraud has occurred by law enforcement, as an example. That's probably pretty. When we are doing an audit, of course, we initially assess risk and design testing of transaction based on that risk assessment. And as we do work and things don't work out as planned or we find problems, then we dig deeper. So, and then this is also a little bit more difficult for me to define for you because it was really a simultaneous thing. As soon as we found problems that concerned me so much that really my gut was, we have to go to the county right now. Right now. Do not piss good, do not collect $200, we have to go right now.
It's a red flag.
Yes, yes. And I'm still very confident that we made the right decision doing that. Then it was a joint effort because not only were we involved in really trying to get the audit done as of September 30th, but then county staff had taken control of the finances, and we had more than one thing going on in terms of interviews of personnel and going through, them going deeper into documents and informing us and vice versa, and us keeping each other in the loop on things that happened subsequent to year-end stuff.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does. I think what I'm hearing you say is that it was the level of concern specific to what you were seeing on this audit that raised that red flag, and you have not seen that in previous audits of any of the authorities before.
Not to this degree. I do remember several years ago, we had
a problem down here several years ago.
We had some comments with it, as I recall it, related to the Southeast Volusia Advertising Authority, and it related to lack of documentation for credit card charging. And that was quite some time ago. I'm going on memory here, and then it was subsequently corrected. It's also my understanding, going back years and years and years ago, I think there was a fairly significant theft at Halifax Area Advertising Authority. Way before I was the auditor of that entity. I mean, there's been problems here and there over the years. But the one in Southeast, several years ago, did relate to lack of proper documentation of credit card charging.
And this is to Dan. Is it appropriate, correct to say that the buck stops here on the ad authority expenditures and the way they're run? I mean, we keep talking about them as kind of this autonomous group, but by state statute, but we are responsible for the appointment of the people who oversee the hiring of the executive director and other employees. What actually is the role of the council on oversight?
Well, the state law requires that you have an authority, so in that sense, some of the organizational structure is dictated to you by the statute. You appoint the members of the authority, they serve at your pleasure, and you approve their budget. And my view of your budgetary authority is that you have a wide discretion to ensure that there's appropriate expenditure, and that could include accounting procedures. It could include the credit cards, to my point to Ms. Cusack's question earlier. And I'm not discouraging coming back. We may come back even the next meeting and talk about the background and credit checks, so that didn't have my answer fully thought through on that issue. But the legislature tried to strike a balance by having these dependent districts where the authority members would focus upon the business of inducing tourism to the authority, but it gave financial, it put them under the county council for an elected body, for ultimate accountability to the expenditure of the tax money. And I know there's a tendency to think that by some authorities, members perhaps, that the county council should not have much say so, but the fact of the matter is that they serve at your discretion and you approve their budget. So I think that you can exercise within the authority. For example, we've said how you wish to do this is entirely up to you, but you establish salary ranges, for example. You could require, I'm not saying, you could require a compensation and classification plan, although how that would, in a small agency, there may be difficulty of how you would do that. But you could establish, in ways of purchasing procedures, credit checks for employees, background searches, there's kinds of things that you would do in hiring a county employee you could require of them.
Which then takes me to this. We have 3 advertising authorities. One has a CDB. And in years past, I have been told that the CDB, that was a private entity. And that did not, our role was with the HAW, not with the CDB. The HAW hired the CDB executive director, and then there was a separate board. How would that, and I'm not trying to mix up apples and oranges here, but it seems to me that we have an obligation to treat all 3 of our tourism boards the same policy, same procedures, but I've not heard that in the past. that we did that. So could you tell me what how that CVB overlay would impact treating all three boards with the same requirements for personnel policies and for,
Well, you don't have to treat all of them the same as a matter of law, but you can try to achieve.
well, I'm not talking about matter of law, I'm talking about if we chose to do that.
If you chose to do that, at one time, this will make Ms. Weaver pretty unhappy, but just to cite what kind of control that you've had.
We brought them in-house one time.
Well, you paid the bills in-house is what I'm saying, and you may not wish to do that in the past, but you could exercise more centralized control over the financial structure, allowing them the ability to focus upon what these boards like to do, and what they should do is to look at the advertising issues. So there's a number of it, but to your question of the CVB, it is a 501 specifically regarding the CVB. It's a 501c6, I believe. Well, Chamber of Commerce, but that just taxes them for a different reason than a 501c3. Regardless, it's a private corporation that is an agency of the state for purposes of the county, actually of Hogg, which that's a dependent district of the county. That's, in my view, an agency for purposes of public record and sunshine law.